This is my cookbook, Living Legacy. You can find it on my website, witandthyme.com. I'll put it in the notes or on Amazon. Anyway, the very first recipe in this book is for my grandma Ina's dinner rolls. And so today I'm going to demonstrate how to make the dough for those dinner rolls, and then I'm actually going to transform that recipe into the cinnamon roll recipe, which is the second. Here, I'll show you. It's the second recipe in the book. Those are what we're going to make today. That's Grandma Ina and Grandpa Bob and Cindy and Mike and Pat and Billy. And I was not born yet. So there you go. Have about 2 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of lukewarm milk, not hot. We don't want to kill the yeast. I've got some active dry yeast. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of that. 1/2 cup sugar. We're going to go ahead and start by putting the sugar in the bowl. 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast in the bowl. I'm using a whisk. I'm just going to whisk in my milk. And then I'm going to add my flour. I'm going to add about 3/4 of it, just to start, just to make sure I've got the thickness I want. This is 2 cups or 260 grams of flour. I do suggest measuring flour in grams if you possibly can. It's just a lot more accurate. Otherwise, use your fork to fluff up the flour before you measure it, and that should give you a more even measuring as well, because packed, the flour can really pack in there, and then it can just end up being more than you want. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use all 2 cups, which is 260 grams. I did measure this. And just gonna mix that up. You see that? And we're done with the very first part of the sponge. I'm going to cover this with plastic, and I'm going to allow it to sit for 30 to 45 minutes. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's in its sponge state. I have a 1/4 cup of melted butter that's cooled. I just melted it in the microwave and I cooled it down. I've got 2 eggs. I've got about almost 4 cups of flour. It's 500 grams, and we're going to see how much of it we use. And I'll let you know exactly how many grams I used when we're done. But for now, I have that much measured out. I don't think I'll need more than that. And I'm going to grab some salt. Okay, so I'm going to also add 2 teaspoons of salt. And this is unsalted butter, just so you know. Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead. Butter. Bit of salt. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'm not really putting 4 teaspoons in here. Okay, and then I'm just going to use this little bowl to crack the eggs in because it's handy. All right, whisking this together. Add the eggs. And I'm going to do something a little bit different than I usually do. And I'm not going to use my stand mixer to knead the dough. We're going to hand knead it. If you have a stand mixer and you have a dough hook, like this, feel free to use it. A lot of people don't have one, so we're just going to demonstrate the old-fashioned way, the way my grandmother actually used to do it. This is a sweeter dough. It's not something in a softer dough, so it's not something where we really have to knead it a ton to develop the gluten and kind of get that chewiness. We don't want that with this dough, especially since we're going to make cinnamon rolls out of it. So that makes it easier too. I'm going to start with about half of this flour, and I'm just going to stir it in for right now. For cinnamon rolls especially, um, like I said, we're going to want a soft, slightly sticky dough. This here is way too sticky still. So we're just going to kind of gradually add, about a cup. So the dough's still pretty sticky at this point. It's got plenty of room to incorporate the flour. And I'm just gonna kind of keep folding over until I kind of get what I want here. It's kind of starting to kind of bounce back into itself there. Shrink back into itself. I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right. So I'm just going to continue to knead this dough. Not going to add any more flour to it. And I'm going to knead it for about another minute. We've got a nice kind of, tacky, sticky, but workable dough. All right, so as you can see, this has risen about at least 3 times its size, maybe 4. And we are going to roll it out. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just sort of twisting the dough a little bit to get an initial roll going. And I want it to be pretty tight. And so then from there, I'm just going to continue process. Not twisting so much this time as rolling. So when you get to about this place, got just a little bit of a lip there. Then you take your dough and you pinch it in. See that? You just fold it over, pinch it together. Fold it over, pinch it together. And see, your dough should be soft enough so that it's pretty seamless, like there should hardly be a seam there. If your dough's too thick, there might be. And you might just, sometimes you can just use a little bit of butter to hold that together. But it's best if you just start out with a stickier dough. And okay, and now I'm going to score these before I cut them. So what I do to kind of get even rolls is I score it in half and then in half again. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to get about 8 rolls out of this. I think it says 12 in the book, which, that's fine. You could get 12, but I am going to get about 8. Actually, I'm going to get exactly 8. And since I want to just make these really pretty, I'm going to go ahead and take these end ones and bake them separately and put, because I think six fit really nicely in this size pan, and then we'll see how pretty they are for your holiday gift giving or taking them with you when you're visiting family or whatever, or just, it's just a great way to bake them at home too, actually, if you have these pans. So we're going to set them in here. And I'm just going to throw a towel over these and let them rise for about another half an hour. And then we're going to bake them at 350 degrees. And we're on it. Can you see? They're still kind of sizzling from the oven. They're nice and golden brown on top, but not overbaked. Okay, could pull one out of there. You see how kind of caramely it is underneath there? It's nice. It's very nice. All right, let's put that glaze on. Twist that up just a little bit more. Yum. Thanks for joining me today for Grandma's Cinnamon Rolls, and I'll be back with more.